Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Paula here.
And Sam Pruitt, what's up, beautiful humans?
Let's go. This is going to be a good one, my dear. This is going to be a good one. I know it's a little early to talk about this, but it's never too early to talk about the content in this.
But is it too early?
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
because I made a decision yesterday that we'll talk about. It's never too early.
Well, okay, so
reset, boom.
yeah, so the I'm so glad your vibrancy is coming back. It's so good because our last one or two was like you were in some
I
hurt,
was
girl.
in some pain caves,
Yeah.
but I'm coming out of it.
Yeah, so you had some something's going on in your hip joint and gut stuff all year. So well, okay, let's just tell them. So this is the year-end reset and rituals for aliveness, right? Like, and we'll talk about aliveness versus this busyness and stuff like that. But just
Year-end reset and rituals.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like, and we'll go into a deep like where this came from and how it was birthed and stuff. But I just notice how many people, like you and I were talking before we went on air about like this, words there's these things called memes, right? And we think of them as like little things, social media, whatever, but they're actually like there's science behind that, like little infections of the brain, right? Like people say things and then they, like go viral or whatever. Well, like, it's literally like a little mini virus. And ideas and concepts, I think, get into the nomenclature, get into the culture, get into the speak, right? And as a society, and it conditions us, it programs us, it sets us up positively or negatively. If we're hopeful in the Kennedy years, like we're going to the moon kind of idea, right? Or is it like fear, 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 which is what largely our programming and
The
media.
current state of all humanity globally is
Gracious.
the primary emotion that is being expressed.
And
And
we
then anger, but
and we
there.
are here to put a pause on all of that.
We're saying hail to the no,
Yeah.
yo.
Reset.
Okay.
Reset. No more of that. Yeah. So the word that I'm just going to put in air quotes because we're going to throw it into the trash after we say it, and that is busy. Right? Like
Bzz, 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 bzz.
busy, productive, like, and people throw that word at me. They're like, "Oh yeah, you must be busy." I'm like, "Don't be throwing that on me like that. Don't be throwing that on me like that. No, I am not. No, I refuse to like take on that word even. It's like,
Mhm.
nope, that's what maybe how it looks to you, and that's in your nomenclature. But
Because you're a GSD, dude. You're getting shit done.
yeah, and that's true. And busy is not really a word of much meaning. Like if you, oh shoot, I should have looked it up. Dang it, I didn't look it up. But I just know it's an empty word, right?
Mhm,
Like busy, busyness, it's like, and I think also that word sends signals to our nervous system negatively, right?
mhm, mhm.
And I think the state that our nervous system is at when we're not effing it up is peace. Right?
Should be.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Homeostasis, balance. Mhm.
Exactly,
Calm.
exactly. So words like busy, these frenetic words, we're messing up our own nervous system with the words that we're choosing. So this is about like, put a little pause in your cause and like slow the roll. And really, we're going to talk at the end about, this program coming up in December because it's so important for people to take a pause, take a moment, like step the hell back from the doing, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And be deliberate and be intentional. So I'm seeing a lot of people being busy but not alive. Like
Right.
like what they're up to is this frenetic, just like more stuff, more doing, more scrolling, more hours of like what do you think busy is? You were telling me before.
Well, people in general, including I've totally done this, of course, have convinced themselves that that is a sign of success. It's almost like a status symbol.
Mhm.
It shows my value and worth in the world. If you see me, bzz, doing stuff, whatever the doing of stuff actually is, then
Yeah.
you're like, damn, check her out, right? Like, so
Mhm.
there's this like elevation of value, status, and all that. And it's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit because most of the time we are spending so much time on just rubbish,
Yeah.
not anything that's making our life better, that's building our health, that is contributing to our community or to humanity. It's not really those things.
Mhm.
It's generally just shenanigans of freaking, copious amounts of emails and paperwork and whatever all things that we wrap ourselves into these days,
Hmm.
consuming media, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just are saying that this is an end of year program that you're going to be offering. But the reality is, this conversation should be had now and any day on the regular
For sure.
with people who are just in a state of like perpetual movement, action without true awareness and reflection
Mm.
about what is it am I doing? Where is it that I'm going? How does this even make me feel, these choices, these actions, these feelings I'm experiencing through my experience? Just that pausing
Mm.
for a moment is what we're asking them to do today.
Yeah, it reminds me as you were saying that, what was coming up for me was like, even as the day goes on, there's cycles through the day, right? There's the early morning, like slow rise, there's the heat of the day or the brightest part of the day, and then there's that softening as it goes into night, and then there's the rest and the darkness, right? Like that's a cycle of life in nature, which we are a part of. And then throughout the year, these cycles of longer days, shorter days, colder days, warmer days, like we're a part of all of that, right?
Mm-hmm,
And there's
mm-hmm.
cycles. And I think people just think we've stuck in like noon, like we're just stuck at noon, like high energy. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. Like you're a part of nature. You have a cycle too, and following that and tuning back into that, right? Through
Well, listen, human evolution.
mm,
Okay, we wouldn't even exist if our ancestors did that, right?
mm,
If they didn't live by the light of the sun and the moon and the seasons and the cyclical nature of nature,
mm.
that's literally how they evolved and functioned. That's why we're here today. Hallelujah. They figured some shit out, right? Lucky us. Look at us being so lucky, right? So that's how humans are supposed to operate.
Yeah. And I'm
It's evolution.
yeah, and I think there's a devolution that can be happening too. This overemphasis on biohacking and age longevity and, how much sleep when you go without and, just like pushing the body to some limits. And it's like, and I think each of us has our own known inner compass that really is what part of this program is about. So the program, I'll just announce it here, is Return to the Light. Return to the Light 2025. We're going to do this each year. And it's, tuning back in because we get so focused on this outer world, on these outer conditions, these outer shenanigans, these outer messages that are everywhere. And really, the message we want to tune into is within, right? And so that's what this journey is going to be about, and teaching people how to do that on the daily, right? Like,
Mhm.
get back into your rhythm of your daily, rise and shine and sleep and, the cycles and how to be deliberate about things. So, but really it's about this intentional pause because I think there's a difference between living busy and living aliveness,
Mhm.
right? And I've really experienced, the Come Alive program. We just rounded out the first 8 weeks and we want to continue. So we're jumping into the next cycle of it, which is so fun. And one of the things that I had in the last one, and we'll go into this a little bit, is purging, talking to them about like releasing the old and getting rid of things, and the breakthroughs they were having, just like like light, like they came onto the call just like bubbly and like, oh my god, I got rid of all this crap and I feel so much lighter, my house feels bigger, and then and it's like it's
Mhm.
living with aliveness. It's not more gathering more stuff into the home to consume. It's actually like we feel more alive in our spaces even when we consume less,
So
right?
this is one of the things. How long is this program?
Okay. Well, I'll go into the end about like all the details, like each week and what we're going through. But what I
But
wanted
today
to,
is like a teaser of it.
yeah, well, I want to
Okay.
teach people a couple of the things that we're going to do in
Okay.
those nights so that they can get a sample and, do this for yourself. You don't have to come into the Return to the Light program, but you're invited to. But I want to teach people some of these things so how this all started, and you're like this as well. I don't know all of your rituals and your little routines at the end of year, but, I've done workshops and retreats and gone on, taken other people's courses as well. And I've really seen the benefit in my life where Businesses typically do this in the last quarter of the year. You reflect on the year, you do projections, it's a natural cycle in most, large businesses, some small businesses that take that thoughtfulness. It's like, okay, how did we do? Review the numbers, whatever, and look ahead. And this is a little bit like that. It's the first night is really about, slowing down and getting present to what has this year been about,
You
right?
mean looking at what is? No.
And what is and what was. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you're
yeah.
still in it. You're reviewing the year that you're in.
And with
Not
reflection,
everybody changes the calendar whenever they damn well please, like me.
yeah.
Most people are in the
I'm
calendar
just like,
year.
done with this year. Thank you very much. I'll be, well, it's funny you do that because, one of the things
My
that
9 months felt like 12. That's why I was like, it feels like 12. And it was,
fast forwarding now. Going, well,
but while they're in it, looking at it, because it's so crazy, like I'm old school, I use a calendar book and different things. And so we can actually look at things. And how many of us can remember what the hell happened in the first, second, or third quarter? By the time we get to the end of the year and we're in fourth quarter and we're in holidays and insanity of all the whatever stuff, and we've worked ourselves into a frenzy and we're usually exhausted and stressed out by then, it's hard to take pause and reflect. Generally, people ramp up and get busier and distract themselves with more things. It's like shopping for things they don't need and spending copious amounts of money and time on holiday parties and consumption and stuff like that. So we actually generally pendulum swing ourselves way into the abyss. What you're suggesting, and what I believe in too, is that there's a quieting,
mm-hmm.
a calming,
Mm-hmm.
a settling down for real intrapersonal reflection, like going deep into the human called you
Yeah.
and the life experience that I just had.
Yeah. And I think there's different levels that as you were speaking about this, I was like, you can do this very simply, right? Like the work that I do, in the past years, some of mine looks like literally like 2 days, 2 days in early December, I peel away and
You do an intensive, okay? That's not a little. You're hilarious. You literally go, for 48 hours, I'm doing this thing, and you go all in. But it's so cool that you carve that out.
yeah,
You make that a sacred space in
yeah,
time
yeah,
with no outside engagement, right?
as much as possible. Yeah, as
Yeah.
much as
Okay.
possible. I mean, definitely you can do it as silent as you want, right? And it takes on different flavors, like sometimes it'll be like down in Santa Barbara, which is one of my favorite places where it could be sunny and nice. So I'll go on walks and be outside a lot.
Mhm.
Sometimes, I've been in places where it's wet and rainy and I just want to cuddle up with a blankie and, read a good book by the, whatever. And it's, it's an honoring.
It's an honoring. That's a
An
perfect word.
honoring.
Perfect word for it.
And that's really what I want people to get most out of this is
Mhm.
busy isn't an honoring to our soul, right? It's a missing, it's not honoring the soul that's in this human body and what it most wants. And it doesn't want busy. I mean, all of us know this. I mean, I'm saying this as if this is like,
Well, we can get busy honoring. It's a verb.
yes. Yeah, yeah. Use, I guess, direct the busy
Uh-huh.
towards, self is what I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these
Exactly.
days I would do, and it would just look like a lot of pause, like
Mhm.
not very scripted, not a lot of doing, very little doing, more being with, right? So being with the year, being with myself, being with just little rituals, whether it was honoring time to rest, right? Like I know that seems like, oh, we'll just take a nap, right? But it's for lives that often we have, a different heartbeat out in the daily life. Sometimes rest is what our body is calling for and our soul is calling for. And silence and stillness, not a lot of output, not a lot of input, very little of that actually. So, like I said, this can go as deep as people want. And then you can go, let's say, less deep. And you could just, like you said, like pick up your phone and look at your last year's photos and just reflect on what a beautiful year you've had.
It's crazy when I go back and look at photographs. literally.
You're like, wow.
Lately I haven't been feeling like an athlete because of the illness and then the injury, and then there's a lot of family stress and distractions right now. And so I was missing that part of myself. I was actually in there looking for a different photo altogether to do something with.
Hmm.
And I was like, hold the hell up. Who is this person? Dang, what the? Seriously, I was like, what? Huh, what? Because you do forget,
Uh-huh.
and you forget definitely things you did throughout the year,
Yeah.
but you kind of forget who you are sometimes, and you need to literally look at yourself, which is hilarious. Oh,
Mhm.
that's me. I did that thing. I totally forgot.
And a lot of people, I think, I think you and I are a little bit more soloists. We enjoy people and community and family and whatnot, but we also enjoy the soloist, the solo trekker. And so I think there's a lot of people that they would look and they would see family photos. They would see the families, friends, communities, that rich, like, oh yeah, I remember going and having lunch with her. And oh yeah, I remember hanging out with them. And oh, I remember this time where the family did this or whatever it is, right? It's that.
Mhm.
And sometimes just that simple honoring can be very filling the cup, right?
Mhm.
To remember what a beautiful life we are having, because sometimes it feels like it's on fast forward, and that's actually a way to go. No, I want to notice these. You're reflecting. So I hope one of the things that I've gotten into the habit of is when I take out. So not to be somber, but when my beautiful kitty cat passed away a couple years ago, and
Mhm.
I knew she was sick, so I started
Totally.
making so I started making videos of her, and that's all that's left, inside of me. And
Exactly.
so now I have two other kitty cats, and as I make videos of them, I'm like looking at it with a video, and I'm really being present in that
Mm,
moment at the same time. Like,
mm,
this is one of those moments.
mhm, mhm.
And and it's like we allow things to go by so fast without being present in it. Oh, let me get out the camera. Let me take a picture of it, whatever. And it's like, hold up, camera can be over here. But
Mhm.
it's your moment. Be with that human, be with that animal, be with that sky, be with that lake, whatever it is. Be there in
To
the moment.
to me, that's the best kind of storytelling also, is when you
Mm,
can sit with somebody and share your story or listen to their story. And I
mhm,
love doing that with old friends. I have a couple of friends visiting right now, and we
mm.
were like reflecting back on some of the cool epic shit that we've done together, just
Oh,
amazing, remarkable things.
totally.
And now our bodies maybe are not doing that anymore, right? So it's really like an awareness of, wow,
Hmm. Hmm.
one is a cancer survivor and has a lot of repercussions from that, from her physical health, right? But it's like, hey, yeah, but remember that time we freaking crossed the Grand Canyon on our own feet and legs? Dude, you did that. It's like, oh yeah, shit, that was me, right? Or sitting with my brother who's in cancer treatment, same thing. I'm like, tell me about when you freaking climbed that mountain and you got stuck in the snowstorm. I've heard this story before, but I wanted to hear it again. I
Yeah.
wanted him to revisit it again for himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude, you did that epic thing and then you survived this crazy thing. And like, so what you're doing now is really hard also, but you're fucking strong. You're
You're
amazing. You're
strong.
capable. You can
Totally.
do this, right? So it's all of these things that we sometimes don't hit pause for
Hmm.
and revisit what is called the reality of our life.
Mm, mm, mm.
Our truth is what actually we have done and who we are in the world, our experiences and
Yeah.
our relationships.
And getting up to those things. And, so, aliveness, I would say, the frantic, the busyness, the nervous system, just all of that. I don't think that's aliveness. I would think if you ask people who are on a bit of a hamster wheel or in that frenetic, going, striving, kind of losing sight of what it's all about and what for, they're not really deeply tuned into, like, why are we doing this and what's this all for? And do I even need to do this, or what really matters to me? Right. And so I think you and I are here to remind people, like, oh, hold on, you might be a little off track, right? Or that may be the path for you, but are you tuned into why and what it's about, and like what's really matters on this journey that you're on, right? Like maybe you're a doctor. Okay, you enjoy being a doctor, and like sucking the marrow out of these days and this journey. I heard this great line this weekend. It was, you don't listen to a symphony to get to the end note. You don't listen to a symphony to get to the end note. That's not why you listen to a symphony.
Mm-hmm.
Listen for the beauty that it makes you feel inside of these days and this life. And so reminding us to have aliveness about getting about what we're up to. So,
Take us through some of it, lady. Let's
yeah.
go.
All
Let's
right,
go.
so I have here the letting go, right? So this is one of the steps that we'll go through in the return to light. And some of this, so a lot of what we'll do on the evenings in return to light are journaling and some prompting, some thoughtfulness, right? And then during the week, in between each session, there'll be homework for them to do things. And so as I took my ladies in the Come Alive work we were recently doing is like the cathartic, the empowering, the releasing of physical things. Like their homework is to release 5 things in their physical world, in their home, in their car, and go through the dishes, go through the drawers, go through whatever, right? Shed, could be go on the look on the walls, the clothes in your closet, right? Just this magical opportunity. And bonus is to take something that has had sentimental value and let it go as like a bonus, right? So sometimes we store up the, like for me, I have a box from when my dad passed away. I haven't looked at it in just about 10 years, and about 6 months after he passed, whatever I put in there is in this box. 10 freaking years it's been sitting and moving it around from house to house. I was like, I think one of the things that I will probably keep because it's meaningful to me going forward, not because of my dad, but was he actually printed out. I did this European trek. I traveled all over Europe for a few weeks. Can't even remember what age I was. I was in my 20s, and I used to send him emails back in the early days, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I'd write
that's
him
cool.
these. I'd go into a little internet cafe and write him these letters,
Wow.
and he had them.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And he freaking printed them out. He didn't just have them like in his email. He printed them out.
Yeah, because they would have
That's
been
amazing.
disappeared with the computer that we got rid of or whatever. But he printed them
Hmm.
out, and so I have a feeling there's a reason why. And whew, good stuff. So it will be cathartic to let go of other things that were in there. I don't even remember what's in there, but maybe it's time to look at those letters and from myself, you know, beautiful stuff.
Like,
So yeah, so letting go of 5 physical things, like, and one of the things I've been really present to, and you probably noticed this because you're great at like shedding clothes. You're always giving me like, you're like,
you're
okay,
like, stop.
yeah.
I have a bag right now in my room. I know, I do it so often. It feels so
You're
good.
so good, right? I'm really present to if something doesn't feel good, like I'm noticing how clothes that have a certain texture or a tightness to them or how they sit or the color or the something, if it just doesn't make me feel good anymore, I'm like, I'm not just don't want to put this on anymore. Like
No,
I'm so noticing when I'm a no for stuff. Whereas before I would have kept it out of like, oh, I spent money on this thing, gotta, get your full use out of it. Nope. No, you don't.
no, you do not. It's one
Yeah.
of my favorite things to do.
So why
And
do
I
you
did
do
that.
it? Yeah, why do you do the
I do it on a regular basis, to have awareness for the amount of clutter and things I'm collecting. I like a more simplified life when possible. Doesn't mean I live as a minimalist. I don't at all. But so there's that, like how much stuff do I really have and do I really need? Checks and balances. And then totally like what you're saying, not so much like, is this the right color for me or whatever, but like when I wear this, how does it feel on my body? And if
exactly?
I'm putting stuff on because somebody else has an expectation about how I should look, or I put something on because I feel like I need to present a certain way, those are red flags for me.
Hmm.
That's just, I'm not interested in either of those things.
Yeah.
Like A, I'm not here to look good for other people, and B, if something doesn't make me feel good, irrelevant of the look of it, then it's just not for me.
And it's amazing. I've seen, and you've probably seen these shows on TV where somebody, like the Queer Eye is one of my favorite Netflix shows, and it's these gay guys who go into people's lives who are largely either getting up to something important in their life. They're running a nonprofit. They're, helping people in their lives or their community, and they don't take care of themselves. And then they remind them like, hey, you might want to, take care of this other human over here. You're called you. And so they'll do like new hair and they'll, spruce them up. And then usually when they start doing the trying on new clothes,
Mhm.
and people just have an amazing response when clothes fit well on them. They fit well on them. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I didn't know that would
Great.
go through all of those. Let me just turn that off. Hang on.
No problem.
Do a
It
restart there.
happens.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
It's amazing how, on Queer Eye, they'll like try on new clothes and they'll just, you see them like light up, like, oh, that color, looks good, feels good. The outfit, fits them. They feel good wearing it. And it's a big difference than hiding ourselves or wearing clothes that just, like even I had a bra that I bought recently and I was like, oh, this looks good, like on the hanger or whatever. And I tried it on, whatever. And I wore it once and how hot it made me, I was like, I don't know what the hell this material is. It just looked like, this is a jog bra, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm not wearing this thing again, right? Like,
Exactly.
even though I just paid for it, I'm like, not wearing it again.
Nope.
Nope. That's you.
Bye. Totally. Bye.
Yeah, totally. So, and one of the gals in the group, so she was really feeling, so she's got two businesses she's running, teams that are not high functioning. So she's like just overloaded with the team and the HR challenges and stuff like that. Lots of debt going on and whatnot. And so she, has been neglecting her home. And so I don't know exactly what it looks like, but the feeling I get when she shares about how overwhelming her walking into her own home was, and somebody's like, oh, you can just hire somebody to like estate sale and get rid of furniture. She's like, oh, no, I don't think you understand how much, it's like a little more severe, like I have a feeling it was like bags of, receipts or whatever, things just hadn't put away. And so she hired two people to come over and she was a little bit of shame, at first. And she did it. And she was like, holy hell. These two, tornadoes came in, were absolutely loving, totally said, girl, we have seen worse. This is no problem, right? And they
Mhm.
sent her on, and she said they put her on a little project in the bathroom to do something. She goes, they could have told me to go out for a bike ride. I wasn't doing shit, She's like, they
Totally.
just like put me in a corner so that they could get to work. And she's like, in, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. She goes, it was remarkable. And her, a lot, because she was planning to sell her house. I was like, well, you need to get, start getting it cleaned up and let's get it ready. And so she hired these ladies, and she's like, I might stay here. She's like,
That's so
I
funny.
might stay in my house,
That
like
sounds funny.
it was the
This
stuff that
seems
she
like
wrote.
something you and I should do between your skill set and my skill set, also with like the kitchen and food and all that kind of
Oh, yeah.
stuff. Oh yeah, maybe that's what we're gonna do
We'll
when
be
we are
going through this
retired.
now. We'll be getting these out of here. Like we got over our friend Alan's over. So Alan's going on this trip with me and Whitney. Like, yeah, we'll be taking this off the cupboards and we'll be getting this out, like let's go
Mhm.
shopping. No, none of this, right? So
I love it.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so getting rid of stuff is part of the first like phase.
that's the homework. So,
Mm.
and really the first phase is, dropping in and reflecting, right? So part of it as we're together that night is reflecting upon these moments, these memories. I call it like getting the gold, like finding what was really beautiful about the year because you want to take that with you, right? Oftentimes our brain can be so focused on, the pain, like you've been in a lot of pain with the, things that whatever, but there were lots of days that were gold or moments that were gold, right? And so it's also getting those lessons because, like I just had a call this morning from a gal and she was like sharing with me all the shame that she has around this experience and what's, she's got this lawsuit. And I was like, oh man, and I'm like, you're in it, dude. You're freaking in it and you're just starting it, so guess what,
Mhm.
but like how much else is going right in her life, but noticing the times or the situations, the breakups, the heartbreaks, the bad juju that we have. Sometimes it's letting go of people. We just need to be honest with ourselves like this person is not in my future, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's a whole process of letting go, that or like reflecting on the past, releasing and leaving it in the past so we can make space for. And that's what the physical part of it is about too, is like I now have a clearing, I now have energy. The universe pours a vacuum. There's this vacuum. So what I want with deliberate intent can now come my way. I can actually begin to attract it. So that's a big
Make
part of it.
space, people. Make space. For
Space. Yeah.
goodness sake.
Are you hearing us? Right. And it's intentional. It's like you got to pause because, this woman with the house with the stuff, it's like that train would just keep going. Like she would just keep going into the future. If she didn't get some girls on the train and like throw some shit off, like, woo, we're not taking that, to the next stop. Hello. Right.
Right.
Huge.
Exactly.
All right. So it's, settling down enough to let go, release, get rid of it. And then the second week is, without letting in, too many of the processes, it's going inward, right? And, I'm really telling people like the return to light is not a lot of doing. There's not a lot of doing, right? Reflecting, yes. Quiet, yes. Stillness, yes. Because I think that what most wants to speak to us, or what really is trying to speak to us all the time, is pretty quiet,
Hmm.
and like you and I find it out on the trails, and if you meditate, you can tap into it, and people don't often give themselves that gift to go and be right. So I'm calling this, this next one is about sacred space.
Hmm.
And that doesn't have to be a physical space. I did a whole video on that recently about, rituals and sacred space, and, your morning and stuff like that. And I'm happy to teach people about that. But you don't need anything other than you and you, like time. Like sacred space can be
It's
the space of
time.
time
Hmm.
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's about becoming deliberate to carve out time. I said, that, so I actually, my year end is multiple weekends, right? So the first weekend is what I described, about that releasing and letting go. So it's, I used to do 2 days of whole putting it all in the past and finding the gifts and lots of beautiful rituals and cleaning and stuff like that. And then the next space is like really tapping in and allowing, like, I'm really telling people return to the light is not another goal setting workshop. It's not
Hmm.
about setting yourself up with New Year's resolutions and things like that. Right?
It's not more doing
We don't.
and more, doing out of shame and guilt of what you didn't do, right? All the people
Mm,
that carry like, oh, well, I wanted to do those things last year or this last year, but I didn't get them done. So I'm just going to drag them into the next year.
no, no.
Okay, obviously they didn't happen for a reason. Okay, they didn't happen for a reason. So don't be carrying that shit with you.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is also, it doesn't have to be about a bigger to-do list or more things you need to change or do better. All of that like messaging around like more and better and different, etc.
Yeah, if there's anything that I'm noticing, I've been in this team management and leadership program for, it's been about 6 months now, is the power of a hard no. The power of a no, right? Because what we allow into our life, what we accept, what we promise to other people, it has, consequences. It has us grow in doing things, right?
Oh yeah, requires a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. And oftentimes, are we aware that, like, why we're doing that and what that's about? Or is it just like, this exchange, like, oh, this person, or I think
Or
I'm
the
going
energy cost,
to,
right? Because you say, hey, I'm happy to do X, Y, whatever the thing is, you say yes to, right? And you don't sit before you made that decision and go, exactly how much energy will that cost me?
totally.
Away from other things that might be self-care or healthcare or mental care or whatever the things are that you do value, family time or whatever, away from, right? So it's taking away from, and it's pulling energy, not just time, but actual energy from you, which is your most precious resource
Yeah.
to do shit you don't even want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So really it's creating that sacred space with yourself. If you haven't done it, like that, maybe you watch this and then you go, I need a little sacred time. I need a little sacred space. And maybe you get out your calendar, look at the things you committed to. You're great at this. You're like, meh, meh, meh,
I love a good Sharpie. I love it. Nope. Oh, I thought I was doing, no, I'm not doing that anymore. No. I
Exactly.
do. I do. I look ahead for the week and I'll look ahead for the month and I'll be, where the hell? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe when I committed to that months ago, it seemed like that was a thing. I could care less.
Hmm.
Or, hey, I need to move that because I want to make space for something that now is more important to me. I want that day to do X, Y, Z instead. So,
And sometimes we get into this place where we think we've committed to someone or something in our outer environment, and like that's like that's some sort of sacred contract that can never be you're
Okay, I'm
laughing.
laughing because that's so insane, but I know that people do that. And they have this idea that that commitment, that yes, they said to whomever, whatever, fill in the blanks, is more important than saying yes to themselves.
Exactly.
That is insane that somebody else external from you and their needs, whatever the hell that looks like, is more important than you saying yes to you.
Mm-hmm.
Unacceptable to me. Sorry. That's a hell no.
So that's, the grace that we can give ourselves when we create sacred space and time with ourselves to really own what we committed to and go, is that really serving me anymore? Is that what I want to keep doing? Is that what I'm up to now? Is that in alignment with my values, in alignment with where I'm going? And because our life is constantly changing, right? There's some people's lives that look pretty similar, but often the human life is different year after year, quarter after quarter. So it's about assessing where you are and say, like with sacred space, am I honoring the commitment to myself first and foremost before
Mhm.
I honor all these commitments to other people? Or do I need to decommit to some things in my life that I need to recommit back to myself, right? And so, the one obvious thing is if your health isn't where you want it to be, you need to rethink how you've committed yourself.
All things stop
Yeah.
until you recalibrate that.
Yeah.
Because unless you're interested in disease and pain and misery and ultimately dying before your time, then you stop now and you sort that out.
And I just see so many people putting all these other commitments before their own health commitment. And it's like, put the foundation on the house and then you can build from there, right? So, yeah. So, some of the things that we'll get into in the last night is about creating sacred space on the daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just find that when I introduced maybe 10 years ago, the my morning process, my rituals, my routines, on some of them on the weekends, some of them are every day. Like I just found like my life was more my own, right? The energy we bring,
Agency,
yeah, the energy we
agency.
bring to the day. Because guess what? If you had a busy day yesterday and you don't reset and then, set yourself up, guess what you're going to take with you tomorrow and the next? You're just going to pick that, right?
Yeah, it's like a freaking boulder. It's
Mm,
going to keep running down the hill until it runs right over you,
mhm,
literally. Like you just can't get out of its way fast
mhm,
enough.
mhm. Yeah. And so this isn't also like, it's not, oh, I'll have sacred space and planning my social media time and I'll have, it's like, no, like time away from that, like get away from,
If someone thinks sacred space is their social media time,
yeah.
whoa, hey,
Mm.
you need to call me
Ding, ding,
immediately.
ding, ding,
We
ding.
need to have a conversation.
I need to
You're
wake
very
up.
confused about a lot of things.
Well, and it's just distraction, like you said, the distraction
Yeah,
of
I don't
busy.
think people are busy at all. I think
Yeah.
people are highly distracted.
Yeah. And so it's all about time for being, like we give so much to the people in our life, the things that we're up to, the causes, the whatever, even taking care of ourselves is something that we get up to. And if we don't give it back to ourselves with some thoughtfulness and some daily practices to go, hold up, me first, then all of this, me, and then all of this, that this gets depleted. Like I've seen that in myself where it's like so much service, so much doing.
Hmm.
And I've seen, I had a aura reading years ago and she's like, you look like a spaghetti sieve, you're just like, all of this energy is just leaking out and the tank was getting lower and lower and I was getting more and more depleted. And I was like, oh, I get it. Like I need to take care of me, well myself up, and so I can give from abundance, give from, I'm oversourced. Like I have some to give, right?
Hmm.
And that weight wanes, through our life and seasons, right?
How do people make a decision what they're going to do moving forward?
You
The
mean about,
planning element of this. Is there a planning element? So you've talked about eliminating and cleansing and letting go, and
yeah,
then assessing in
yeah,
the quiet, in the pause. What about the people, which, I don't know anybody who doesn't want to do things differently because we're humans and we're always evolving and it's fun. This
yeah,
life can be fun. Let's do
yeah.
different things, right? So when you're at that sort of junction where you say, okay, so I'd like to do things different next year.
Hmm.
How do I decide what and
Well, that's
how?
when we're going to come up with more offerings for the new year. So stay tuned on that. There's definitely things in the works around supporting people. So the second night of the 3 week series is tuning into your inner vision, because people, we lose sight, right? We lose track because we see what's in front of us and we just go for the next shiny object thing, right? Or that decision we made 10 years ago out of necessity or scarcity or fear, we're just letting that drive our train. And this is about putting a pause, putting a pin in things, slowing the hell down, and really getting clear on what you want most. And it was amazing in the Come Alive, we did some of this work as a group, and they were shocked at the things that they were enlivened by. Like they had no, like it wasn't even on their radar, you know.
Mm.
But does it have them lit up in the next 6 months? You know, some have goals by the end of the year, some it's next summer. You know, it's like they realized what was most important to them in that moment, right? And that's just something you can tap into over and over again if you create sacred space. You know, I mean, definitely, I'm not against, you know, quarterly goal setting or looking ahead and planning out things that you want to get up to, but it's coming about it differently. It's coming about it from like a place from within, like where you tune out all of the responsibilities and have tos, and you really tune into like, you know, because you and I have talked some and this podcast and just offline about we're closer to our finish line than our starting line.
Mhm.
And with that, it's like, you know, you're going to do the Year to Live program, and it's
Mm.
like, what if you lived as if your life,
You had a year to live. What would it be?
what would you
Oh,
make?
that shit's about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you're speaking about is with that quiet, with that peace, that reflection and process that you're facilitating also, if people want to join the process in the group, is a really deeper insight into your own values if you're disconnected from them. So getting clear on those, getting clear again on, what's my existence here? What's my contribution? Who do I want to be in the universe?
Yeah.
So it's all of those really deep, insightful conversations and a reconnection with the self before you go planning the next year full of activities or whatever. I sort of reverse engineered this yesterday. And I pinged you a little bit about it because it was slightly ludicrous, but also fantastic because that's how the freaking work. If you're awake, shit happens because you see it. You're like, oh my God. So obviously, challenging year, health problems, yes, lots of family stuff, lots of stress, lots of borderline insanity. And then I got physically injured. So like my one outlet for exercise, my mental and emotional well-being was like, right?
Mhm.
And then there's a lot of pain associated with that. So I was getting in a really funky place trying to find my way out of this paper bag,
Mm.
right? This dark paper bag. And in that, I have had more time for personal quiet work and journaling and writing and some different things. All of that to be said is I did circle back to, okay, Samantha, you've been around the planet here for a while, a hot minute. Okay, so 56 plus years of living, you've learned a few things about yourself. So what do you know to be true about what you value most?
Yeah.
What do you know to be true about what makes you feel good in this physical body, in this emotional body? What do you know to be true about systems or process or things that work for you for healing, right? So I had to really kind of sit back down with myself and reverse engineer a little bit of like, okay, I know these things to be true, and so somehow I'm not doing any of them. Well,
Mm.
that's kind of funny.
Got a
I
little
mean,
off
I'm
track.
trying to do, I'm pretending to do, right? Like I'm scrambling around trying to solve to the problems, the many, many problems.
Mm.
But that's totally different than me saying, okay, I know all of this to be true about myself, and I know that I need to take certain actions and be involved in my own life
Yeah.
and well-being in a certain way. So get fucking busy doing it. And then literally I had an email drop into my inbox from the universe. It didn't come from actually the address, wasn't the universe, but there's no doubt the universe orchestrated
Mhm.
that 12:01 p.m. email into my inbox.
Mhm.
And that's literally when your brain sort of blows and you're like, what in the hell? My soul lit up instantly. My entire body lit up, of course, my brain and everything, to the invitation that this came into my inbox, right? But it was how I immediately reacted to it. Of that's a hell to the yes. That's who I am. That's what I'm up to. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yes.
Done. And then my whole mindset and physical way of being, energy, even with, I still have the stomach thing that's slowly resolving and the hip thing,
Mhm.
even with all of that, all of a sudden I had life back in my body because my spirit was on fire
Mhm.
for I'm doing that.
Mhm. And
That's happening for me.
that is the essence of the Come Alive program, right? That
There
is
you
the
go.
essence of all of this is it's teaching people that what's a hell yes. Like when your body leans in and says, I'm doing that, or like, oh, I could do that. Yep. All right, great. Or following the path of highest excitement, right? Like that just like was definitely going there, and that's like me with Mount Whitney. I was like scared, but I want to do, like we had talked about that. So going to Mount Whitney is on my, and one of the things we said before we aired was like, what the hell am I doing? Taking a week going to Mount Whitney when I've got this product launching in this program and this, da, 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 new team members and stuff. I was like, because it fucking lights me up.
Of course, it's literally the fabric of our being. I believe for myself, I can't do this other work in the world, be of service to anyone, frankly, if I am not on fire for myself and my life. I don't know how I'd be contributing to those people. It would be half-assed at best,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't really be authentic in my energy and my wisdom and my support and compassion. It just wouldn't be there. It'd be half-hearted
Yeah.
because I just don't have it for myself.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work for me.
Yeah. And I think it's, so those invitations, I love what you said, you got this invitation to participate in this race, right? And that's how, that's often, I would say we're magnetizing what we most want, right? And if we're blocking that, we're saying like, oh, I can't have, that'll never happen. Nothing works out for, like if we've got this, shield over what our heart most wants, like the invitations don't come in, that we won't see them. We'll just delete that email before we even read whatever, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's exactly what will happen.
Mhm.
Is we won't even consider, we won't breathe air into the possibility,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I really feel like, we've talked about the Alive Alliance. I was having this is so, I haven't even told you this about this call I had yesterday with, he's one of my coaches in the TMLP program, and we were sharing, and he started to describe the direction he's going in with his business and his partner next year. And this wasn't like scripted or we never talked about it. He was just like, I'm like, so what are you up to, in the coming years, whatever. And he started describing it. And I was like, wow, that like the vision sounded so much like the Alive Alliance when he started
Ah,
to create that. I was like, and
this sounds like a collaboration.
I know, I was just like, so I went to bed last night going, I'm not
Hi.
quite sure what to do with this yet, but I think something just got handed to me on a platter.
100%.
He wants to work with me and have me start doing some things. And I was like, yeah, we're aligned, and I enjoy working with him. And I was like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but it's
Dude,
my
that happened to me
my
yesterday too. I had a call with somebody. I know we're totally off tangent, but I'm going to present at a thing and I have basically my 30-minute block and this other person has a 30-minute block. And I said, well, who is she and what is she doing? What is she talking about? I have no idea. Hey, I should call her. Hey, what's up, lady? Who are you? What are you? And it was like, so we're not just, isolating, doing our things now. We're going to create an experience together. This is a perfect stranger I've never met before, for these humans to have a completely different experience that would have never been
so good.
generated
Yeah.
if she and I didn't come together in this union like
Mm,
you're doing. And
mm,
it's really, how are we doing these things? Because we're open to it
yeah. Yeah.
and we have clarity that
Mm,
there's always something great about to freaking go down.
yeah.
If you are keeping your eyes open, I swear to God, it's just around the corner. It is. I'm not bullshitting. This is not the law of attraction. I mean, this is just you having awareness about your own
Mhm.
life and
Totally.
what is happening.
And in the return to light, I'm calling it tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. Like
Ooh,
like you're tuned, like you've got the energies in the socket, or you're in the outlet. You're like, okay, I'm tuned into my energy. I've released the past. I'm like tapped into my energy. like what's possible, and I'm turned on for opportunities. I'm turned on for like what do I most want to do, instead of just this busyness of like doing. It's like, hey, send me more of this, please. Like
Mhm.
I'm a yes for this, and then like bing 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 things,
And
right?
since I said no to these 10 things, I
Exactly.
now have capacity.
Exactly. And but it's a clear knowing, and then when something comes in, like you got lit up by, I was like, I'm gonna call this person, and then all this gets created. So, and I had that call with that coach yesterday, and I was like, this sounds amazing what I'm like, totally want to be a part of it. So that tuned in, turned it, turned on. I love it. I love it. But I do want to share some of what I want to get into some of the specifics. So if anybody's hearing things out of this that they want to be a part of Return to the Light, Return to the Light is 3 weeks in December 2025. It's the 2nd, 9th, and 16th. So it's perfectly timed after the Thanksgiving holiday that we honor, and before the new year. So you have that space, right, to carve out and be with you, right? And us, like be in Sacred Women's Circle with us. So the first week is releasing, slowing down, getting grounded. It's learning how to intentionally slow down, cutting out the noise of the external world, establishing foundational practices like grounding meditations. Everybody's going to take this on in their own way. We're going to give people
Yeah.
ideas and inspiration, but to find your center and clearing your energy for last year, right? So like I find, universe abhors a vacuum, so it's like let's give it one, right? And then reflection and really calling in your inner wisdom for where you're most wanting to go. So it's about diving into yourself, looking at the beliefs and baggage of last year that you've let go, and it's like, what do I want to take on? What universe, what higher self, what is my work here? What would light me up? What would I be excited by? And some of it's just going to be coming out of this. Some of it, what everybody's in. We talked about the cycles of nature, right? And so while it may be winter, some people might be on a trajectory. They just had an opportunity that just started. Like I'm definitely in a spring phase, like I'm coming out of a winter and I'm going into a spring. So next year is going to be levity, and some people might be going into more rest, so might be like retracting. They've been on 5 years of pushing or outputting or whatever, and it's time to reset or rest. So looking at whatever it is for you. And so that will be helping you set yourself up for like, what am I most wanting in next year? Am I on my spring? Am I going upward and I've got a trajectory? I want to like output energy into the world. Or is it about pulling back? And what does that look like? And the third evening is, it's really tapping into activations so that you carry this energy that we create in these nights with you into your new year. So
Mm.
creating your own sacred practice, your own sacred time, whatever that looks like. I'm teaching this to the women that come alive. It's like, sometimes just 5 minutes is like busy moms, busy, quote, busy. They have to start with something small. And then I teach you have to excavate outward to carve that time. But what I find is like, it's so sacred. Like I'll say no to a hell of a lot of things because that morning process, that morning sacred time with myself, tuning in and tapping into what matters most to me is so precious. It's like going drinking from a well that just nourishes you and hydrates you. And you've like, of course I would be doing that, right? So,
It's good to start small because people have their preconceived stories and ideas about all of these kind of things. It's like when I started meditating and 5 minutes felt like a long time,
mhm.
right? And it was a guided meditation, by the way. So they talked to me the whole time for 5 minutes and it still felt like forever. You're like looking around. And
So,
then now it's like 20 minutes of dead silence. And I'm like, that's over already?
yeah,
20 minutes? Are
yeah,
you sure? Check the clock again.
yeah,
you know but you don't know until you create a small space for the light to come in,
yeah.
and of course then the light is more powerful than the dark, so it will take over and you will be shocked at how good it feels.
And I think, when I used to hear before I ever, I'd hear about the benefits of it. I can even remember, gosh, when I was in my 20s, I lived in Berkeley, California, like hello, like hippie capital of the world, a lot of meditating going on. And I being like, check this out and being interested in. I remember the very first time I even tapped my toes into this, went up into some little room of like, I don't even know what it was. And there was all these chairs, and we were like in a
It was a hippie fest. I know it was.
and they handed you a flower, and they handed me
Oh,
a flower,
of course they
and
did.
like meditating on a flower, and that was like I couldn't get it. I was like, I'm not sure. But then I kept trying, I kept going and doing other things. And then I found my way to a beautiful, like there was a, what was it? Like, how you do those adult school classes or whatever. There was this adult school where I was living and there was guided visualization. I was like, or meditation. I was like, well, might as well give it a
You
try.
live in some hippie ass towns, don't you?
Dude, I lit up. I was
That's
like,
funny.
nothing's going to keep me from going to this thing. Like the amazing, like, because I have a wildly beautiful imagination. As soon as I close my eyes, like I can see a lot. Like I see a lot. Okay. And so that just opened up that doorway for me to go in there. I was like, well, I'm going to hang out here more often, and it goes through iterations, right? And I think just staying curious about meditation, staying curious about a morning practice, staying curious about sacred time with yourself, whether you do it in circles. So like this, I know we're going to be on Zoom, so it's not virtually a circle, but we are going to create the experience of being in a circle with women is it's so powerful, and it's been done like thousands of years.
Oh, since the beginning of
Yeah,
human
this ain't something
kind.
new, girl. This ain't
No,
this ain't new. Like I
this
didn't come up
is
with this and be like, "Hey, let me tell you I'm new."
ancestral wisdom.
Yeah, we're bringing forth those practices that really are made for women because I think as we can tie in our energy, we're so powerful, so powerful. So, all right, so that's what I wanted to share about it. So 3 nights, December 2nd, 9th, and 16th,
Okay.
all online. And then they'll be invited, if you participate, then we're going to do it again in the first quarter of the year, bring that energy back, and people can come back and just like re-experience coming back into that circle, because we go into the world and sometimes if you don't have your rituals down, you can get a little waylaid and get the busyness back in. And it's like, let's come back together, get re-grounded. So, so looking forward to it. So,
Well, there'll be a link, right? So I'll put a link on our Instagram
mhm.
profile. So there'll be a link there, but where else can they find this?
Yeah.
On your website or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you can go to my website. It's there now. So getbusy.thriving.com is the primary place under courses if you want to find it under that. And
Okay.
then we'll put it in the show notes here and all over our socials. So we're not going to be quiet about it. Just, it's like putting the lantern out, shedding the light so that people that, are finding their way home can find it. So that's what it's about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. Anything else? I'm just looking at my notes here. Yeah, just coming back. So what would you say out of this is your one thing? What was something that you got
Hmm.
that you want to have people pay attention to?
Well, my one thing is that you should do this on the regular basis. So there is this ritual of this end of year moment that we all share collectively. And there's a lot of power in that too. The calendar is
Mhm.
actually ending and
Yeah.
like, so there's a lot of ritual around that. But a lot of times we get pulled into that ritual of others,
Mm,
whether it's a religious practice because it's the end of the year or it's the holiday vibe with the end of the year, whatever, right? So a lot of that kind of energy sometimes can be distracting from
yeah,
the work you're really talking about and offering,
right.
right? So I love that you're doing this in December before the holidays. I think that's incredibly much more empowering.
Hmm.
Because after the holidays, we're all exhausted, by the way, and we're whatever. So let's just clean this up before we close the year. And then just for myself, the one takeaway, which I just did yesterday, is I just hit reset on the year already. I'm
Right.
just not going to wait around. I don't, like I said, this particular year, it felt like 12 months. It was only 9 months.
Hmm.
I'm done with it. I've decided
I've had
to
it.
move on.
Yeah.
The calendar is not ruling my
Mm,
world, right? Like
mm,
I need to have some movement now, make some shifts now, do this work now. So I would just say for people to be kind of aware of like when it's telling you to do it, you need to do it. Your body,
yeah.
your brain, your emotions, your heart is telling you, do it.
Don't wait.
Don't
Totally.
wait.
Totally. Yeah, that's why I wanted to share these ideas is like take this and do it tomorrow, like get after it, get into it, right? Look at our other socials. We've got lots of podcasts where we share all kinds of ideas and my YouTube channel and we're constantly helping people on their path. So yeah, get up to it. If you got through this part of the podcast and this video, then like get into it. Don't wait until anything. Just start now.
Thanks for a reminder of that. I'll put a link also on our Instagram profile of your YouTube channel.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah, we come find us, come play.
We're getting active over there. Yeah, and we're going to be creating more stuff. And then you've got we'll tease about it. You've got a little gift that you're going to be offering and your workbook coming out. So
That is true also.
yeah, you'll be talking are you talking with Kelly again, I think, on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's just, you and I are up to things, but we're up to things because we see a need.
Yeah.
We feel a need energetically and we see a need. We talk to a lot of people, we experience life with them, and we want to be of service. It's ultimately, why we're coaches, because we sure the hell aren't doing it to get rich, because that ain't going to be happening. I mean, we're doing it because we love it, and we want to be helpful.
And do it for ourselves in our own lives and then pass it forward, pay it
Exactly.
forward. Yeah. So my one thing, and it's the two things that we talked about most, and that is like doing a releasing ceremony. So if it's, take the advice of like, get rid of 5 things in your house, maybe something sentimental, take that on. Maybe it's a belief, a person, something, and then create some sacred space, some sacred time, some sacred space. Can be a physical space, can be just a little time with yourself, and create your own little ritual, something that serves you and fills your cup back up, makes you remember to honor yourself and what's most important. You are in your equation. So
Exactly.
all right, woman.
All
Well,
right,
this
lady.
was lovely. Tell us what do we want to remember before we close out? What do we remind our humans?
How your life looks don't mean nothing. That's how it feels.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.